And we are back once again with Epic Land Day 2. And I am joined by my lovely co-caster.
In the Red Dragons merchandise, it is Red Dragons EXO, yeah.
EXO.
Formally introducing myself.
And yeah, we're gonna jump into a pretty exciting PvP here
Yes.
between two players that have a history together. They're pretty good friends.
Yep.
It's going to be Kray versus Zain. What's your prediction for this match?
Well, my head says Zain, my heart says Kray, so that's really where I'm at.
I would love to see Kray take a game off Zain. I would
Yes,
absolutely
absolutely.
love to see it. And if we were to see Zain play the way he did yesterday against Roscoe,
Exactly. PvP is a volatile matchup, and Zain, he can bleed.
yeah, it's possible for him to to forget how to control his mouse and keyboard once in a while,
Wow.
and to drop
Yeah.
maps against people he probably shouldn't. Right. So
It happened.
speaking of the devil, in the top right hand corner, we do have probably the top Protoss player in the UK. He is Zain.
And his opponent, spawning in the bottom left, representing Red Dragons with the color red, it is Red Dragons Kray.
And both players opting to go for the standard pylon placement. Probably going to see a 2-gate from both of them. Not going to see any 1-gate shenanigans. Or I really don't suspect we're going to see anything extremely cheesy from either of these players. I don't really know how Kray favors to play. I think generally he's not a particularly cheesy player.
No, Zain is definitely the one who's more willing to do something like that, I think. In fact, this probe has come out kind of quick. Proxy Robo, maybe? No, that's too soon for that. Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
I think
just pretty fast scout.
I think this is just going to be a 2-gate expand from Zain.
Yeah,
He's just going to scout relatively early, make sure everything's okay. I like this from Kray, just popping down to the
Yep.
low ground to make sure there's no super cheeky shenanigans.
And yeah, in fact, Zain taught me that way of doing it, where you how you rally into the minerals and then do that and then loop round. So maybe you taught Kray that, or maybe Kray taught him that. But
Oh, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Zain has coached pretty much every UK Protoss player
Yeah.
at some point.
and yet you still find everyone has their own slight little variations about how they put on gas, whether they rally into gas. You get some fun little things like that.
Yeah, so Zain opting for the 2-2 and with 15 on minerals variation, so probably not going to see any super early tech from him. I think this variation you just go for a Stalker Sentry early on. But yeah, it could be a lot of things.
Yeah, so again, the first two units in PvP reveal a lot, but then also not a lot. Stalker, I think, is still one of the most common ones. But Stalker Sentry is quite popular. So the weakness of Stalker Sentry, in my opinion, is that it's a very telegraphed opening. Because when you go Stalker Sentry, there's not a lot you can do other than just macro. Now, Zain cancelled the... Oh, no, okay, he cancelled the Sentry and then he restarts it. I don't know why it did that. But Kray opting for the Stalker. I agree. Because with Stalker, you can still go Stalker, Fast Nexus, and then Sentry. And that way you still get a Fast Nexus and still have like good scouting information.
This is quite cute from Kray. He's just gonna force Zain to lose this unit, but yeah, so he's gonna be able to bully this away, and that's gonna mean that since he opened up with double Stalker, it's gonna deny Zain from knowing what the position of the whether or not there's gonna be an expand. So he doesn't even see a pylon on the low ground at this point.
No, and if he drops, okay, he's dropping a proxy pylon. I was expecting a robo to come down, like a 2-gate robo push, but Zain takes the expansion, which you always do when you go Stalker Sentry like this. So
Yeah.
Zain has got to sniff this out with the minimal information he has, and there's the robo and the third gate. Okay, yes, you love to see it.
Yeah, and I really appreciate this from Kray because he's not going to be trying to play a macro game against someone who he knows it has superior mechanics and macro skills, right? Zain has taken games off of Kray, I believe, just going mass sentry in a macro game. So Kray's going to realize, you know what, I need to hit him hard, I need to hit him early, and so we're going to hit him with everything we've got. So like this from Kray, he's just positioning these. He knows that Zain is going to be trying to confirm whether or not he's got a base or not, right?
Yeah.
So he's just going to deny that. He's going to put these out there to stop any probe from coming in, potentially wanting to stop a hallucination as well.
That is so key. If you can get that, that is actually puts so much doubt into the mind. But obviously, you never know which way angle it's going to come from.
I'm not sure how, but Zain seems to know that this is coming because he hasn't bothered with the hallucination scout. He's actually saving up energy, and that means that he'll have more energy to do force fields, potentially, if a commitment comes from Kray. And the other thing that Zain's done that's interesting is he hasn't opted to make any more sentries. He's made literally 1 sentry, and that's meant that he can get his robo a little bit faster, and he's already got an immortal. So I don't know how he's managed to get a read on this, but he's going to be in an excellent position to stop this.
There's no shield battery in the main mineral line either, so he's not worried about oracles.
So and the force field's already come down. Battery overcharge on the Nexus. He realizes that this is coming, and Kray's going to have to be deflected straight away. And Kray, even though he went for the proxy, he hasn't actually made an immortal. He's gone straight for the warp prism for the micro, but there's not really much he can do because he doesn't have enough stalkers to just bully Zain out of this.
No, maybe you can try to ferry up into the main, but now the first immortal of Zain is out, and that really does make things complicated.
A little bit sloppy from Zain sending the hallucination scout into the right into the stalker ball, but I think Zain is going to realize that this is actually just a bait, and the force fields are absolutely brilliant here. So many going down. Really close hop pickup from Kray to make sure that he doesn't lose, but you can see there's no transition coming from Kray. But Zain, on the other hand, putting a proxy pylon of his own, he knows that he's going to hold this. I think he feels quite confident. He wants to start to put some pressure on the other side of the map.
Now Kray is doing the classic one-base Protoss follow-up to this kind of thing. You get a robo bait, you get disruptors, and you just try and bully your opponent who's sitting in their natural.
Yeah, nothing that Zain has is going to allow him to do well against disruptors, right? So even though he's going to have sheer numbers of units, they're all going to be in one big ball, and one disruptor hit could potentially kill all of these sentries, and that's what Kray's going to hope for.
Yeah. Some War Prism Stalker micro in the main. Kray actually winning that, being able to do it, but the reinforcement warp comes in.
He's so low on this, but Zain having the Warp Prism of his own, and he's going to have the advantage of the being the defender. I would like to see like a battery in the main from Zain just to make sure that he doesn't, given how close that actually became. But Zain is going to realize that actually he has the opportunity to just bully Kray out here. So he's not going to give him the opportunity to just set up that nice disruptor hit. He's going to go from multiple angles coming in. Kray is going to bring in the Warp Prism of his own, but with the Immortals and the Sentries, there's going to be so nice surrounds there from Zain. Kray losing absolutely everything, and now it's all
Miracle
up to
disruptible.
It's all up to this Immortal, but I don't see this disruptor even getting out. Okay, it does get out, but it's going to be killed before it gets anything. This will be a GG from Kray, and a 1-0 scoreline for Zain.
Wow, tough game. Like, Zain really... Like, it's really important to note that in the first, like, 4.5 minutes, if you don't have scouting information, there's a lot of things you got to worry about. You got to worry about DTs, you got to worry about oracles, you got to worry about big blink attacks, or some sort of robo push, right? Zain knew it was a robo push. He like honed in on that. We're not sure how. But
the only thing I can think of, he might not have known it was a robo push. He might have known it was some sort of aggressive push.
Yes.
Something proxied. And so instead of going for 3 sentries, he went for the yeah. So I think the only tell that I saw, that I noticed, would have been the lack of a pylon. Okay, so that's a really big one. He would have seen that Kray spent the resources to wall him in.
Yes.
To block him from seeing that there wasn't a pylon on the low ground. And so that was enough information for Zain to realize, okay, we just need to batten down the hatches. We don't need the sentries. We just need units. We just need stalkers. We need the power to deflect this, and it turned out to be the right call. And a really nice force field timing there and positioning on that first initial wave. I think that's when it's the most scary.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
First wave of stalkers. If you allow them to get right on top of their units. But we are going to jump into game 2 here against Zain and Kray. Again, this is a best of 3 just because it's the quarterfinals. We'll be in best of 5s pretty much for the rest of the day. And so this will be game 2 of Kray versus Zain. And in the bottom left-hand corner, he's up 1-0, feeling pretty spicy. He is Zain.
And spawning up in the top right, now switching to the color purple. He's hopefully not going to let that last map deter him. It is Kray. Yeah, again, so I played Kray yesterday in this tournament and lost. And he opened oracles both games versus me, which is interesting. So again, just going back to this read that Zain made on the thing there, if after he killed the probe in his main, Kray just throws down a Stargate there, I feel like he gets an oracle out and Zain has nothing to actually deal with it in the main. And Zain also wasn't going for Blink, which is the main way you deal with oracles. If you don't have Blink, it's very hard to kill an oracle in PvP. So again, it's I'm just emphasizing how much of a read Zain was making in that last game, and it was right.
And I think it's going to be not just based on what he saw, but also what he knows about Kray. He probably knows
players.
what builds that he's comfortable doing in what situation and how he plays them. So there's just enough games between these guys that there's more than there's the meta game, right?
Yeah.
So,
what we're saying is don't try that build on ladder. Don't try Zain's build on ladder. Is what I would say.
Yeah,
if you saw that last one.
Yeah, there's probably more things that it could have been that Zain isn't particularly worried about. I think this is going to be just a pretty standard macro game between both of these guys. Usually, if you scout after gateway, you're probably not doing any super early proxy because you want to get as much gas as possible so that you can start everything. So you're going to scout a little bit later, especially because if you're proxying, you know, presumably you're the one who's in the aggressive stance. You're not worrying as much. So I think both of these players are going to go for an early expansion with probably some sentries early on, but we'll see if they decide to go for something a little bit non-standard.
Some worker harass coming out here. Very frustration if you're not at like the very highest level where you can deal with this very smoothly. That could be very frustrating.
And once again, Zain just going to go for his standard. We can see that the CSGO players are getting really excited about the presence of a Sentry and a Stalker for both players. They love a macro game. But again, it's going to be a double Stalker for Kray. So I think Kray's probably just more comfortable just opening up with double Stalker every game. Whereas I know Zain is the kind of player who likes to get a Sentry early in every matchup just to make sure that he knows everything because he's pretty good with responding to the reads.
Yeah, like I say, if you're the better player, which I believe Zain believes he is, then going Stalker Sentry is almost always the better call. It's the only drawback is, like I say, I think it telegraphs that you're not going to be aggressive.
One thing I would say as a slight variation on this one, I think it would be nice if you're making double Stalker to not show double Stalker to the pylon, because Kray didn't really have to, right? You could see that Zain kept his Sentry back and bullied with just the Stalker. I think you obviously want to kill the pylon as soon as possible, but you want to maintain a little bit. I think PvP is very much an information game.
Yeah, because then your opponent might think that you've gone Stalker Sentry and that you're not going to be aggressive. Yeah, I agree.
But interesting here from Zain to leave this probe here. This is not going to be an accident. There will be something coming down in this position. There's really no reason for Zain to put this probe in this position, and I don't really know what he's going to go for here. I suspect it could be something like a Dark Shine, but although he is going for a triple Sentry, so it's pretty hard to go for a triple Sentry and then also get a Dark Shine, but maybe that's what he's counting on, right? You just go for the slightly later DT. It won't be the fastest possible DT.
Yeah, I'm actually quite curious what this is, unless that's just a proxy pylon that he's leaving the probe there. He's going to do something with it.
No, I think he'll just save up the gas. So what you're looking for in this matchup is how many sentries they make so that you roughly know what you're expecting from them in terms of tech, right? So when Kray pops in and he sees three sentries, he's going to be like, oh, okay, this is going to be like a blink
standard as standards could be, yeah.
And so Zain has the option here. He could go for a sort of slightly late Dark Shrine. It's going to mean that he's going to have a relatively low unit count, but I mean, this is pretty nice from Zain. Yeah, he's going to actually get 2 of these Stalkers for his efforts.
Oh no, come back in, don't go back in.
Or he could just build gateways, but it is going to be the Dark Shrine. So this is going to probably catch Kray completely off guard. Now, there has been an Oracle doing a little bit of harass in the main. Gets 1 kill, but is chased away by the Stalkers in position for Zain. So Zain having more than enough units to both hold the front and actually win the fight at the front and also deflect this. So really frustrating.
And the fake chrono on the Twilight Council in Zain's base as well. Oh, and he now starts Blink, but that was a fake chrono, I think, as the Oracle was leaving.
Yeah, if Kray was watching, he would have seen that this wasn't actually dancing. It can be a little bit hard to spot, so it's a little bit of a mind game there from Zain.
Especially with the chrono boost on it. It blurs it a bit more.
Yeah, so we might see Kray send in another scout with the Oracle a little bit later just to confirm whether Blink is happening or not. But because you're going for this build, you don't want to be behind by going for the Robo super early, right?
Yeah.
So Kray is probably not going to actually... He's already invested in a Stargate. He's already getting his Blink. He does have an Oracle, so if the DTs come in, he does technically have detection, but he needs to not lose this Oracle. If he loses this Oracle here, he has no source of detection, and he's not going to be able to get any more scouting information. So Kray is just getting absolutely shut down. Everything he's trying to do here, not quite doing what it needs to do. And even if this that pops in, he's going to see that Blink is researching, so it's going to make him even more certain that what he's playing against is not Dark Templar.
So legit. And again, just to highlight the time difference, standard if you rush DTs, you can get them out for about 4:15 into your opponent's natural. So, and this is now 5:40 and they've not arrived yet. That's why it's late, but it looks so convincing. And if your opponent, again, Zain has made an incredible read. His opponent, he's setting that proxy pylon up and this plan up before he even saw the Oracle.
And there's not even a Robo building right now for Kray. He doesn't have a Forge, because generally with the Stargate, you don't bother with the Forge, and it's going to be an instant GG. and that's going to be a 2-0 for Zain.
That's a rough one. I mean, if you had a ladder game like that, you'd be cursing.
I know Kray's probably going to be a little bit disappointed in that. He probably wanted to, take a game off of Zain, but ultimately, I think he played the best that he could. He tried different things. I think that what I really appreciate about Kray's play there is that he didn't not do aggressive things because he was playing against someone who he knew was favored. He still tried to do the aggression. He still tried the multi-prong. It didn't work out in the end. I think game 2, Zain pretty much put on a clinic. He just swatted away everything and then had a really a nice mind game there with the DTs. I'm going to try that in the future, I think.
I'm going to say that looked really good.
Yeah, it looks like a very doable build, right? To just open with 3 Sentry with a proxy DT, it's like, okay.
Yeah. It's really it's interesting. But yeah, with regards to that, again, just want to highlight for the non-PvP players out there, it really is a knife fight matchup. This wasn't like, oh, they're both players that are just trying to be super tricky and weird. A lot of what happened is standard proxying DTs or proxying a robo to be aggressive. A lot of these things is just a staple of the matchup. So it wasn't even like Zain was being disrespectful or tricky about it. It's just a
No, that just is, it just is the matchup where you can...
Yeah, this is the matchup where this happens a lot.
The tech just sort of counters each other really hard a lot of the time, right? So
and we have Zain
tricky.
running over.
Do you want to do a winner's interview? Okay, come on and have a seat.
Oh, yeah, hang on. I'll come back in a minute.
All right, we're joined with the winner here. We got Zain.
Hello, Dane.
Fresh off of his fresh 2-0 against Kray. Take me through this series.
Yeah, so Kray is a good friend of mine, and he's quite rusty right now. He hasn't been playing too seriously for a while, but he really does have strong fundamentals, so I did want to stay on my toes. I didn't take him too lightly. Yeah, but my approach going in was just to be safe and solid, because I think like the longer the game goes, the better it is for me. And I think that tricks are the main way that he could have beaten me. So I was just trying to play solid and safe, and I think it worked out.
How did you know in the first game that, because obviously you didn't go for the sentries in the game 1, you went straight for the stalkers. Is that your response when you know it's going to be some sort of aggression?
Well, I did actually open sentry in the first game.
Yeah, but you didn't open for 3. Like you didn't make more sentries.
It's because I scouted the robo, and the robo...
Oh, you scouted the robo?
Did you not look at my vision?
I didn't notice that you scouted the robo.
I put a stalker onto the watchtower, and the watchtower gave me vision of the robo and the gateway.
Okay.
And I didn't even have to use my sentry to scout.
Kray put his proxy in vision of the tower.
Yes.
Okay, that's a bad spot. But
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, okay. I mean, I told him. But, yeah, so I saw the exact robo timing, and the robo was like 250 something, right? That's quite late for a robo. So, like, I got the 3rd gateway instead of... I actually think I should have got the sentries early anyways. But instead I just got, like, the fast robo, and I got a fast 3rd gate, so I'd have more production early. Because I knew that he couldn't hit me too fast, because that robo was quite late.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it worked out.
And game 2, it seemed pretty straightforward. It's something I haven't actually seen before, where you open with the 3 sentry, because normally you think, okay, if I see that my opponent has 3 sentries, they're probably not doing it. That's sort of one of the ways you rule out going for DTs. So you just go for the slightly later DTs, and I guess presume that they're going to cut corners and not get the robo.
Well, I mean, the Dark Shrine is the same cost as the Blink, so it's just the Blink that you're delaying, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also you're down a couple. You can be down a couple stalkers. Like there's still tells, but it's definitely harder when you get that. If you do get all 3 sentries.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, it was a pretty convincing series.
Yeah, I mean he did open Oracle that game, but I mean I ended up killing it.
Yeah,
But I think even if he did have the Oracle alive still, just having DTs in multiple places, I still think I would have got damage done out of it.
Yeah, I think it was still going to be rough in any case. But anyway, thank you for the chat, and we're going to jump in pretty soon with Figaro versus Molten. So we're going to run a quick ad, and then we'll be back in less than 2 minutes. So don't go anywhere.
All right.